Hello, and welcome to another video. So in today's video, we are going to have a conversation that was sparked from a question that I answered really in a group that I recently joined. So if you're interested in that kind of conversation, if you're interested in this video because you clicked on it because of the title, sit tight. I believe that we're both in for a treat because I don't have any notes for this video, okay? I just want to come and share my heart with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay, so here's the question, and I'm going to try and paraphrase it. I'm not going to, put it all on here because she's not a follower of mine. This was a question I was asked in the group. But since I answered the question there, I would like to have this conversation with my followers because I feel like a lot of people have this question, and it's about purpose. Hello, beautiful sisters. I'm going through a period where I am deeply in search of God's purpose for my life. I've been praying heavily and reading my word, hoping to get some clarity soon. Any advice if you've experienced this before? And y'all know, all right, so the camera was messing up. That means we're definitely going to have this conversation, and it's going to be a good one. So you guys, anyone who's been here for any length of time, you've got a chance to see kind of the ins and outs and ups and downs of really someone trying to do just that, pursue purpose. And I have learned really, I don't want to say at the end of this journey like I've arrived, but I've just come to this new realization that purpose is so much more than this destination spot, okay? And I can't say that I would ever have learned that. I would have ever learned that if I did not take the time to really pursue it, like to literally leave out of my house and pursue it, be in pursuit of it, be in pursuit of like, God, are you in this place? Are you in that place? Where are you right now? If I would have never took that route of pursuit, I don't think I would be able to sit here and have this conversation with you about purpose about purpose being so much more than a destination spot, okay? You're actually limiting what God can do when you think, oh my God, is this one career? Is this one, when I get married, this is going to be the thing. When I have the kid, it's finally going to be the thing. You limit the possibilities, okay? The endless possibilities that God can literally do through your life when you have this very closed mindset of, when I get to this place, this is going to be the thing that makes me feel like I fulfilled my purpose. So I want to read my response, and my response was, first, I would say pray, because wherever your purpose is, there will be people connected to it. So pray about how to love people. Pray about how to forgive people. There is a level of compassion that you have to have for people that goes beyond worldly comprehension. Purpose involves people. Look at your close relationships. Begin to ask God about them and assess them. Keep working. Keep doing the things that pique your interest, all while praying. God will remove what needs to be removed, who and what needs to be removed. I believe Solomon said it. Do the work that's assigned to you under the sun. Do it gladly. Smile and show up. Do your best, despite people's opinions, despite opposition. Live righteously, not by rules or religion. Seek God and seek Him concerning how to walk. Okay? What you need to steer clear of, what you need to walk towards. Fast, read your word, pray, and pray some more. You'll look around and the years will pass. Youth turns to the older, wiser you, and you'll realize every day you wake up that you were indeed walking in purpose. It's not a destination, it's a pursuit. God, I'll pursue you with every gift you have given me, with every breath I take until my last one. And I wrote that to her as a response to her. And I was like, I have to share this with you guys because someone else feels the same way. Like, God, where am I going? What am I doing? And if you don't think that me on the other end of this camera felt like, God, where am I going? What am I doing? That's totally a mistake. It's not until recently, literally when I got back home, I said, you know what? I have moved so much that I actually did move closer toward the destination. The destination was, will you move despite what life throws at you? It's not even the destination, it's the pursuit. The pursuit is, what will stop you from the word that God has spoken to you? Once you keep moving, baby, you're walking in purpose. Despite sickness, despite people walking away, despite spouses leaving, despite family members leaving, despite maybe losing children, losing people, despite all of that, will you still pursue the thing that God spoke to you about? And the answer for me was yes. If I come on here and I look like a complete fool, and not just to you guys, if I look like a fool to the people who are in my day-to-day life, that's okay with me. God, I'll pursue you. I know at the end of the day, when I walk into a new space, my real goal is, God, how can you show up for the people that are here? So that's why I answered her that way. I think that a lot of times we think purpose as well. It's kind of a selfish pursuit. You're thinking like, oh my God, I'll finally get to this place where I feel like I am doing something. I feel like I'm doing something because it makes me happy. And I will tell you that when you're really walking with God, you learn that your life ain't about you. Okay? It's not about how you feel. It's not about things that make you feel good. Will there be things that make you feel good along the way? Absolutely. Will there be happy days and people that make you smile and just days you have a really good time? Absolutely. But the real measure of how much you really want to do this thing is, God, if I don't feel good about it, like if it doesn't make me smile, okay, but you said do it, will I still do it? And someone's going to say, well, how you know if God's sending you? Well, you have to have a relationship with God. To be in pursuit of purpose without wanting to pursue the person, the one who gives purpose, it's impossible. And I wanted to bring up this story because I mentioned to her, I believe Solomon said, and it was a while ago, I read the book of Ecclesiastes. And if you have time, I would highly suggest that you read it, especially if this is a question that you have been asking yourself. And I will tell you that in that book, it's kind of depressing. He basically says, hold on, let's get an excerpt from the book. Let me not lie. Hold on. So the book of Ecclesiastes actually begins like this. The words of the teacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem, meaningless, 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 utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. This comes from the wisest man according to the Bible. And we're going to get to the story of how he became the wisest man. But this is the wisest man. This is the man who God poured out wisdom on, more so than any other king before or after him. And he's sitting here telling us in this whole book, if you read the whole thing, that it's all meaningless. That nothing, when you hear people say nothing new, there's nothing new under the sun, that actually came from this book. He says it's all like it's meaningless. It's like chasing the wind, is what he describes in this book. So when I gave her that little snippet, in the book, he also says that there's one thing that you need to kind of come to grips with, and that's the lot that God has assigned to you. And your work, the work that was assigned for you to do, if it seems like it's meaningless to everyone else, if it seems even like it's pointless to you, you're going to have to come to terms with it's your work, it's your lot. Stop sitting down thinking about, well, why can't I get what they got? Well, why can't I be where they are? And never coming to a place where you enjoy this place that you are is the worst thing that you can do in life. And he says that in the book. Like I said, I would go off and I would read it. But it was very good because I also felt like, so you guys know I went off to basic training, and when I came home, I felt like, man, even while I was there, I just, my eyes are different now in a way that I can never unsee what I have seen. And he also mentioned that the more that I know, the more my sorrow grew. Like the more that I understood, the more that I gained wisdom, the more that I understood, how people actually work, how the world actually operates, how things actually happen. The more that I understood that, the more that I understood that once you did wrong, you really can't do right. Yes, God forgives you, but sometimes people don't. The more I understood these things, the more I grew in wisdom, the heavier the load becomes. So it's crazy, especially now, to see people just seeking out for knowledge, not understanding that with knowledge comes a weight. Knowledge comes with a weight, especially when you have knowledge and you don't have revelation. Like you don't have anything you don't have a container for the knowledge. I will say that, okay? So let's move to this story because I was trying to give you guys perspective on how wise he was. Okay, so basically, if you go to the book of First Kings chapter 3, it basically he had a dream And God gave him wisdom. Okay, God's like, dude, what you want? Like, you're praying, I get you, you know, I get it. What do you want? And he was like, I want wisdom. I want to understand. I want to have understanding for your people. I want to understand their heart. And it's crazy because I didn't even read First Kings. I didn't read this passage of scripture that I'm telling you before I gave her that response. But it just, when you understand that there's a certain level of understanding that you have to have. Like I said, there's a compassion that goes beyond this world. There's a certain level of understanding that you have to have for people and why they do certain things. Like, why would you hurt someone like that? You have to have a certain level of compassion that brings about understanding for people to be able to lead people. And let me read to you what he says. Hold on. We're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 3. I have two stories that I want to read in here. Like I said, Solomon, one of the wisest men. And if you know anything about the story of David in the Bible, of course, people know him for sleeping with Bathsheba and then having this woman's husband killed in battle. That story is definitely in the Bible. This is his son. And one thing about David was he was a man after God's heart. He loved the Lord. Even though, I know, how you gonna say you love the Lord when you done killed this man? Like, you done got this man killed and you sleep with... He loved the Lord, okay? He loved the Lord. And this is his son. So I have this conversation with you guys a lot. How you act in the world definitely shows up in your children. Okay, so let me read this. Now, Lord, my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, but I am only a little child and I don't know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to number or count. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern these great people of yours? The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, since you have asked for this and not for long life and wealth for yourself, because if God asked him, like, what do you want? I'm gonna give it to you. What do you want? And he didn't ask for wealth. He didn't ask to live long. He asked for wisdom to help to be a good king to the people. And the Lord was pleased. Nor have you asked for death of your enemies concerning in administering justice. I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart. So there will never be anyone like you, nor will they have ever been. Moreover, I will give you more than what you ask, both wealth and honor, that so in your lifetime you will have no equal kings. And if you walk in obedience to me and keep my decrees and commands, as David your father did, I'll give you long life too. Then Solomon awoke. So then he woke up and he realized it was a dream, but he also began to operate in this position that God had given him. Okay, so let's go into the story of the wise ruler, because if you just heard in what I read there, he clearly was a very humble man. A lot of people ask about purpose, and I'm not saying this to say I'm above any of the other people. I get it. Like, I was on the same pursuit. I understand. But like I said, you don't understand that why would God give you something that will ultimately destroy you? The devil does that. He gives out positions that he knows that you can't handle. He gives you influence or false influence. He puts you in influential spaces, knowing that you're a people pleaser, knowing that you can't handle it, knowing that you'll be crushed under the weight of it. God does not do that. He doesn't do that. So this story right here was beautiful. And like I said, it wasn't my intention to read it. I was actually reading the other portion of this, and I stumbled upon this story, but I want you to hear it. Now two prostitutes, it's in the Bible. Now two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord. This woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby. This woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there. The third day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but us two. During the night, this woman's son died, because she laid on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him in her breast and put dead son in my breast. The next morning, I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But I looked at him closely in the morning light and saw that he was not the son that I bore. The woman said, no, this living son is my son. The dead one is yours. But the first one said, no, the dead one is yours. The living one is mine. And then they argued before the king. The king said, then they argued before the king. The king said, this one says, my son is alive and your son is dead, while that one says, no, your son is dead and my son is alive. The king then said, bring me a sword. This is good. Bring me a sword. So they brought a sword to the king. He then gave an order. Cut the living child in two and give half to one and half to the other. The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, please, my lord, give her the baby. Don't kill him. But the other one said, neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in two. The king gave his ruling. Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is his mother. How do you think the king, in all of his wisdom, knew to make that, like to give that scenario? Okay. And then even after he gave the scenario, some people would be like, well, I'm the king. I said what I said. I ain't going back on what I said. I said cut the baby in two. But he did that out of his wisdom, out of that godly wisdom, that wisdom that God bestowed upon him. He understood that the one who is truly this child's mother would rather see him alive. Come on, like Moses' mother did in the river, would rather see him live and him be able to fulfill the mission and the mandate that God has placed on him, his life, than to see him killed because of my own selfish desire to have him as my own child. It was such a beautiful, this story is so beautiful. It shows you a mother's love, and it also goes back to the first part that I said. It shows you wisdom in action. Okay. And let's tie it all back in. He was moving in purpose. That was him moving in purpose. He was born into this seat to be a king, but he also understood that I have to have a certain level of understanding. Some people call it anointing. He definitely was anointed for the task, but there's a certain level of understanding. There's a certain level of wisdom. There's just a certain level of me that needs to show up to be effective, Let me tell you something. Y'all know I'm opening up this daycare again. Let me turn around. The house is a mess. The house is a mess. Like, let's not. It's a mess. But as I see this thing coming together, before I had extravagant. It was very extravagant, okay? But I also realized sitting here now that I did not really have the level of wisdom that it took to really see it through. And I'm grateful that I got a chance to walk away from it and come back to it. Like be smart enough to know that even if you're successful doing something else, the place that you have the most success, the place that you feel the most fulfilled is when you're doing the thing that God has called you to do. Do you think for a second that I don't know that people gonna come with the crap? Yes. And the worst thing about this now is now I know more. Right? Before I went into this, I think I was like 24 when I started the old daycare, very naive as far as it relates to people. Okay. I was very optimistic about people. And now I have to do the same task, which is carry out this mission for these children, for this next generation of children. Now I have a weight of knowing more about people. But in that, I also pray, like, God, you wouldn't send me to a thing that would destroy me. There's something now that I can deposit in the people that I couldn't deposit in the people before. And I'm grateful for that. Even though you saw, baby, it's no secret, it's taken me on a journey. And even before I started this journey of what I would call the pursuit of purpose, I was on a journey before that. I was a teenage mother. I placed a child for adoption. You can't possibly think that I would come out of situations like that without a certain level of wisdom as it relates to how women get themselves in certain situations. what it feels like to really be a woman in those situations. God in his all-knowing nature allowed me to experience all of that, ultimately to bring me to this place where I can be effective to sit and talk to these women. And yes, I had the same efficacy before, but now I understand people. And I pray that for you. I pray that whatever field God has you to go in, because sometimes it doesn't look like a straight line. It'll never be a straight line. Get it out of your head that it'll be a straight line. It won't be a straight line, but you will get to the destination. As long as you're breathing, every single day you wake up and you got air in your lungs. You're moving, you're breathing, you're in your right mind. It's another day for you to pursue purpose, for you to pursue God, for you to learn to love more, for you to learn to forgive more. That's what this thing is about. And then teaching other people, your children, your parents, the people who you encounter. Man, if she went through all of that and she's still able to love and forgive, I want to know that God. I want to know that God. I hope this was a good conversation. It was short, sweet, and to the point. As always, if you have a question, ask a question, and I will see you guys in the next video.